The journey back to Birmingham is going to take loads of hours. The problem is that I am really looking forward to relax, and do my own thing at Florida Street. I was seeing myself already there in the last hours, finally having time for myself. Finally at home, sweet home. The reality is on the contrary a bit different, and we haven't even quit Scandinavia yet. As the train rolled over Smaland, I convinced myself of the nuisance this journey was going to be. I figured it all in my mind. I got it all in my mind. We are absolutely not yet in the USA, and it is going to take a lot of waiting and a transatlantic flight in between I was not really looking forward to at all. Radberg and me, we exchanged our final impressions by way of conclusion of our stay in Sweden. We had different versions of our experience. Radberg was befriended with different people compared to the ones I befriended. For Radberg this stay was a friendly and shallow experience abroad. For me it was more like an spiritual transition. Before taking our train to the airport I suggested Radberg to eat something at Copenhagen Central Station. It seemed like if the time had stopped there at the station. I had been there years ago and had lunch in a buffet. I was decided to check if it still existed. For that I advanced towards the part of the station heading east, and to my surprise, some years later, there it still was. It was like a flashback, something that triggered a lot of thoughts, emotions and sensations of a younger version of me. We ate lunch in silence without exchanging many words. I observed people moving through the corridors that were left between shops. It was midday and people rushed to come back to work in some cases. In others they had just begun their lunch break. Copenhagen reminded me to cities in America, places like Jackson, Nashville or Memphis. With a bit of fortune we would still have some extra time to enjoy a quick walk through over the streets of Copenhagen. I had decided I wanted to have a look to Christiania, the independent city inside Copenhagen. I looked around again and resumed that station was already a landmark in my life. I wondered if I would be there once again in the future. I stopped thinking about future, because it scares me. Future is promised to no one. I went to pick a cake to one of the shops inside Copenhagen Central. You know, one of those shops where things are ridiculously expensive, even over the high prices of Copenhagen. I chose a fizzy drink and a cake. I headed the counter and I saw then there was a special deal if I got 2 cakes instead of 1. It was too late because the girl in the counter had just told me the amount to pay. I told her that I wanted to buy 2 instead of 1. I wanted to add 1 more cake and to get a discount for it. I asked if she could please recalculate the price. I understood by her face that it was going to be a mess then. She made a move to try and start over the purchase but got stuck. I told her to leave it because I had changed my mind. She smiled relieved then back to me and looked at me in a kinda lecherous and sexy way. I concluded Danish people weren't perfect at the end of the day. I headed towards Radberg, still stirred inside by the evocative exchange with that blonde Danish woman. I checked how people walked happily over the streets of Copenhagen and gathered over cafes and bars, came in and out of its cozy bakeries and shops. It was delightful. Now I can say that we are leaving the friendly European skies. After our quick stopover in London Gatwick we are in our way to the USA. I know I won't be sleeping. I will be on the contrary drinking beer to feel better about this annoying long flight. I try to think on good things. I have decided I am going to dig into the Ark, Sven's favorite band. YouTube recommended me The Worrying Kind straight away, and listening to it I think the song honors well the spirit of Sven. The lyrics could be speaking about himself. Without doubt, as a music maniac, I appreciate presence in the form of a local band recommendation and stuff. Perhaps knowing the Ark will be the best souvenir I could get from Sven. Sven's personality really struck me deep. He was a gentleman to the service of the truth and the goodwill and justice, a kamikaze, someone who couldn't care about dying on the fight, someone pernicious when it gets to it, taking danger to the limit, not caring about hurting himself as long as he could strike his opponent 3 times harder. Someone who would risk it at the roulette in Las Vegas and end up winning the jackpot. someone without nothing to lose. To distract my mind, I put into a balance Sven and Matt, and there was no comparison. Matt was a coward, able to let scot-free criminals, abusers and other kind of people, especially if they were powerful. He looked forward to save his own ass all the time and surround himself of people that would kiss his ass. He didn't even love his job, he didn't enjoy squeezing psychopaths or making justice. For him it was enough to get a great amount of money at the end of the month and pretend he had a huge happy life with his wife and his children. He would let criminals roam freely the streets as long as he can perpetuate himself at the head of the office. No matter what it takes and how ridiculous it all is. He would be on their side, corrupting the system knowing it. He would stop researching in case he could find any complications. That was what awaited for me in Montgomery. For a moment I felt a bit sick of the everyday spectacle at Montgomery office. I almost felt asleep, I slumbered in strange dreams. In those dreams I dreamed about Sven in his apartment almost in the darkness. What would Sven do in the killed hours, for example a Saturday night in his apartment? How would he kill time apart from making diabolical plans? I know he wasn't married, but I was told that a few years ago he was with a girl that looked pretty in the pictures I was shown by Magnus. I wondered how his relationships with women were. No traces of it. Did they exist? Perhaps he is already dating someone. Perhaps not. Perhaps someday he will marry and go to Las Vegas in his honeymoon as he suggested joking in our farewell. With Sven you never know.